Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ursel Dickers. Welcome to the podcast Career Conversations. The aim of the show is to help students choose from different career options. Today's show is about careers in interior architecture, and I'm joined today by Ms. Sarah Ward. Mrs. Ward has over 30 years of experience and multiple design awards to her name, and is a co-founder of the family business Ward and Company, a London-based interior design studio working globally. Thank you for joining me today, Mrs. Ward.
The pleasure. It's nice to meet you.
And without further ado, let's take a deep dive into today's topic. So, what would someone in your profession generally do?
In terms of the interior design, it's quite an expanded umbrella, really. It encompasses interior architecture, interior design, furnishing. In the US, some people are an interior decorator, but here in the UK, we tend to use the term interior design.
Yes.
So in terms of going into, should I go into some detail within those?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So interior architecture would be specifying, so if an architect produces the layout of a house and the footprint, then anything from the structure inwards, interior architecture would take care of. So that might be the ceiling arrangements, cornicing, floors, doors, how the air conditioning systems integrate to make it look nice when it's finished and not just be about the air conditioning, how everything integrates in the structure of the building. So typically we'd be involved very early. The interior design is then the next layer, and that would be the actual finishes in terms of what does the skirting boards, doors, architraves, door furniture, bathrooms, kitchen, what do they look like? What's the style? So all of the conversations regarding the style and the look and feel would have taken place quite early in the project. It would be working backwards, if you like, from the flowers on the table to the cushions on the sofa, if there are any, all the way back to the building, to the fabric of the building. And then the interior decoration, or we call it FF&E, which is fixtures, furnishing and equipment. That's actually the supply of it, but the actual furnishing aspect is all about the decorative finishes, the things visible to the eye, whether it's wall coverings, paints, furniture styles, fabrics, all of that kind of thing is what we would put into that section. And our projects can be any of the above, and it varies from client to client, and the look varies. So if you wanted to differentiate between interior architecture and interior design and FF&E, the easy way is to say, if you picked up a property, turned it upside down, anything that falls off fits into the last category. Everything else is there to stay.
Yes. And what made you decide to pursue this particular profession?
It took me a while. At school, I probably was encouraged to go down more of an academic route. And I didn't. It was never really for me. I wasn't really interested in it. I don't think I found it particularly difficult. I just wasn't very interested. And I think when you're not interested in something, then perhaps your heart's not in it. And so it took me a while to realize what I wanted to do, by which time I didn't necessarily have the best sort of starter subjects for it, which is why I think a whole breadth of study is a good thing, because it's hard to know early in your learning career what on earth you're going to do later. So I had languages. I always had languages. I had drawing skills. I was always creative. I was always moving my bedroom around. I was always moving my mum's sitting room around, which was quite annoying, I suppose, for her. I was always interested in the way things look and the way things go together. So it probably took me till my early 20s to really realize what I wanted to do. So it was a bit late. Actually, there wasn't an interior design degree then, but there was architecture. And had I really thought about it, I probably could have done that, but I didn't. So I then studied lots of short courses. So that's how that went. And it actually started working. Now it would be a bit harder to do that for people coming into the industry, but it's not impossible. And because of my background, I tend to remain quite open about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what choice of subjects did you do in college to enable you to get into this profession?
I studied, it was at school, I studied art, really. That was about it, to be absolutely honest, and a bit of drawing, D&T, it was called, Design and Technology, which I wouldn't have think, honestly, either particularly helped. I know that's not necessarily, I'm not ticking the boxes, but that's what happened.
I'm sure that the knowledge you got from school in those subjects has been quite helpful now.
Oh yeah, very, very. Told my children to work a lot harder.
Yes. And how did your working career progress?
I started actually by, once I'd learned to draw, and I started actually doing commercial projects. I started by working on a brand of contemporary pubs in the UK called Pitcher and Piano. There was a sort of phase, it's about 25 years ago, probably 28 years ago, there was a sort of phase of the typical British crowded, smelly, smoky pub was opening and becoming lighter and brighter. So it was I did some schemes for the new look for that. And that's where I started. I got my first job, did about 4 of those, and it went on from there. So it was a hard learning curve because I was actually on the building site, so I learnt a lot.
Yes. And what would you say is a necessary expertise or the most critical skill for someone to have within this field?
You have to have a natural creativity, for sure, and then learn to draw. I mean, to study now, there are so many courses, there are a lot of places to go. I would say an actual physical course is much better, perhaps augmented by a bit of online. But to learn to draw on CAD is vital. We use a package called Vectorworks in our studio, but there's ArchiCAD, AutoCAD, there's all sorts now. 3D modeling is probably Revit, that's probably something you need to learn now, but it's basically the actual learning when you draw, then learning the sense of space, the sense of scale. It has to be a mixture of computer study and actual study and actual physically being in spaces, because common sense is quite a large part of it.
Yes, I'm sure that the smooth between physical drawings to CAD must have been quite smooth.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's with CAD, it's life changing. It's so much quicker, and it's just better. It means everything can move quicker, and sometimes it moves too quickly. But
Yes.
yeah.
And if someone were keen to go into this field, what words of advice would you give them?
To think about where in the field they might like to go, in terms of, is it hospitality spaces that interest? Is it corporate spaces? Is it industrial spaces? Is it private houses? Is it developments? There are a lot of different fields to go into. So to try to find a general course, but if the actual drawing skills are there, then it's a very transferable skill. So to get those drawing skills first, and as much practical work experience as you can get, knowing someone in the industry, volunteering your time, going into the workplace, looking at all of the other software packages. But we present on InDesign, we use SketchUp, we have 3D modelers, there's lots of we have a costing system. It's looking at the bigger picture of the actual business aspect of it, and as to what appeals the most. But to get the best drawing skills in the first instance has got to be a good starting point.
Yes, I'm certain that the viewers would have found this very helpful. Thank you for your time.
That's a pleasure. Good luck with it.
Thank you. And thank
Bye-bye.
you to the viewers for watching.